what the problem was. For some reason, it just didn't want to stay broadcasting. But I think we got it licked now. Let me go on and get everything linked in here, and we'll see how long we can make it work. What do you say? All right, there we are right there. I'm going to come over here. We're going to mute this puppy.
I haven't seen it come up yet, but then again, who knows?
There's that right there. There is our little PSA, and we are going to attempt to share it out again. Wouldn't work this morning. We'll see if it works today.
There we go.
All right, let's see this now.
You got yours, mine hasn't come up.
Get out of it.
There we go. All right, let's see this.
Get out of it and go to your notifications. Go.
Oh.
What I have to do.
You got yours, mine hasn't come up.
Get out of it.
Let me see here. We're going to get this figured out. We're going to get this figured out.
I guess I need to get closer.
Stay logged in. There's that. Continue. Close that. All right, there's that, there's that, there's that. Come, there we go. Good job. Good evening, guys and gals. Man, I'll tell you what. How's that for issues? This morning I couldn't get Facebook to open up at all. Today it wanted tonight it wanted my password changed and everything else. I swear that little red-headed dude better pull his head out of his watoo so he get some things working right. Good evening, Tony. Good evening, KG Mussolini. Hey, I heard we're gonna see you tomorrow, buddy. Up there at Ghostorama. It is Friday evening. It is time to kick back, relax, grab a cold one. And share your company. Here's the weekend. I was completely shocked when I heard today that Moose was going to come and join us for Ghosterama. That's going to be pretty cool. I've been wanting to meet me some Mussolini.
Yeah, 'cause he's tired of us now.
Yeah, he just said hi to you.
Hey there.
Hi, Moose.
Can't wait to see you tomorrow.
So I hope everybody had a great day. We just got done eating the most spectacular Friday night meal I have had in a long time. Jay and Jan brought this really cool barbecue sauce up from down home. What's it called?
Aunt Becky's barbecue sauce.
Aunt Becky's barbecue sauce.
From Tennessee.
Jay brought some steaks up, or they both brought some steaks up. Of course, you know, good barbecue sauce around here is a commodity. So after he got the steaks all grilled and everything, I just poured some barbecue sauce over them. I am going to sneeze.
God bless you.
Bless you.
A little too late for that.
God bless you again.
Yep. Better
Missed
late
that
than
one.
never. But I made some huge baked potatoes. The wife made a tomato salad. Gosh, what else was there?
Corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob. Some of the sweetest corn on the cob
Absolutely.
I done ever had in my life. I could not. It was so sweet you didn't need to put butter on it, except to make it a little moisture to actually be able to eat it. Other than that, the flavor was spot on. Those steaks. Oh my God Almighty, those steaks. See what y'all miss out on when you don't come to visit. Those were wonderful. Wonderful evening. Perfect way to get the weekend started. Of course, you know, we are going to be booking out of here early in the morning to head up to Paw Paw, Michigan to help Danny get everything finished set up for Ghosterama, the vendors, car show folks. Everybody are going to start coming in about 10. The event kicks off at 1, goes 1 to 7, and after the event's over, there is going to be a paranormal investigation of the Playhouse, which, if you guys remember right, is actually a 100-plus-year-old church. Had a lot of funerals, had a lot of weddings. Pretty much the same thing, but, you know, whatever. It's true.
You say so.
It is. I mean, look what happened to me. I said I do, and I said no, don't, within a week.
Yeah, but now look what you have.
Yeah, and I think she was the one that took my life in the first place. Truth be known, when I was fighting for my life to stay breathing, she put the pillow over my face and then pulled it away when she realized, oh shit, I ain't got insurance on him yet. Now I worry for my life because she's got like $80,000 on me, so I'm like scared to death now. I don't.
Wow.
I sleep with one eye open, but sadly enough, it's my blind one.
Uh-oh.
Hey Joe, good to see you.
Hi, Joe.
Oh man, Friday. So all right, guys, tonight is all about y'all. I want to know what ghost hunting is like down around Cincinnati. I mean, most of us live in small towns. Most of us investigate in small towns. What is it like being that close to a main city? Number one, a main city. Number two, a direct path of Morgan's raiders during the Civil War a place that was very active during the War of 1812 because of the Ohio River and the trade route. Not to mention the Indian Wars, Tecumseh and his Shawnee, everything else that was done in that area. What's it like?
It's interesting. Like I said, we started last night talking. We talked about Morgan's Raiders. Like I said, we live in Miamiville, and Morgan actually split his force into like 2 or 3 columns. One came up through Camp Dennison. Of course, he was going to attack Camp Dennison, and evidently, from what I remember, they scripted whether you could stand or not with a rifle. They gave all the sick, wounded guys rifles and said, "You're going to go fight him." So as they came, evidently they came over the hill, and Morgan said, "We're not going to go. We're just going to sidetrack it." I think they fired. Didn't they? I want to say I think they fired a cannon. They had a couple shellings, and they said, "Nope, that's it, going up." So they went on up the valley, Little Miami Railroad. They were chasing the. They had the railroad come in. They were chasing them up the river to railroad, and they wrecked the train. I believe they killed the conductor, and that was just right over the hill from where we live. They all 2 or 3 of these columns converged on Branch Hill, and they came right up over the hill, about 3 miles from us, and went on out through the county. And then they actually split a couple different ways after they left us towards Batavia, which was called Boston. They had a guy in a church steeple, and it's now the town hall out there, sitting shooting at him. The guy, Morgan said, "Go get him," and they went in with the horses and dragged him down and killed him. And then they went on down through Williamsburg, down through Adams County, and on up to Bluffton Island or whatever it was.
Which is now what?
It's about midway up the state. I don't know.
It's out there past Portsmouth. I know that.
Okay.
The only 2 places I've ever been in Ohio is Serpent Mound and right across the river into West Virginia at Point Pleasant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And we've been to both.
And then a few miles from us in Williamsburg, there's a place called Grassy Run. If you look it up, evidently Tecumseh had a camp there, and Simon Kenton and his settlers came up tracking them from, what was it, Maysville, whatever they called that settlement at that time before it became Maysville. Tracked them up. They had a very big fight that night, and the squaws and the children went across the river, and it evidently was very kind of a bloody fight. And they usually in my area they have something about once a year in the springtime called Grassy Run Rendezvous. With the COVID, it's been non-existent the last couple of years, and I think this year they did have it.
Yes, we did.
And we've been down with it. Her cousin's been down there. There was a couple of years ago. They had all sorts of stuff. Axe throwing. That's where she gets axe throwing at. Knife throwing.
I seen video of it, guys. She, honest to God, can throw a tomahawk better than most men I've seen in my life.
That's basically it. And then evidently when Morgan's Raiders also came through, Cincinnati got very up in arms, from what I can remember. They actually pulled troops out of northern Kentucky to go after them, out around Fort Thomas. I can't think of it. There's a couple places like Fort Thomas, which Fort Thomas was built across from Cincinnati on the Kentucky side of the river to repel any rebel invasion. So
Very active during the...
And it was very active. Of course, steamboats run up and down the river all year.
We're known for that.
Right.
We're known for the steamboats.
Right. I have a couple ancestors. Well, my great grandfather was actually under an alias name and went down and fought Shiloh.
I believe it was Shiloh.
I believe he fought down in Shiloh because he came back upriver on a steamboat wounded. He got shot down there. He and his brother got shot. So my cousin has traced all that, and actually there's papers on his script as to how he went in under the name. He went in under an alias into the Civil War.
So, I guess several people in here watched some of your videos and stuff. What is your favorite location you've investigated down in your area?
Kings Hollow Tunnel.
Kings Hollow Tunnel.
In Vinton County.
Okay, the way he giggled, I think there's probably a story behind this.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let us have it.
We went out to Vinton County to do a couple of tunnels, actually, and a cemetery and a furnace, Hope Furnace. And while we were at Kings Hollow Tunnel, it started raining and storming. So we're inside the tunnel. There's lightning, there's thunder going crazy. I'm getting a lot on the spirit box. And there were some demonic responses coming through. And Jay started backing out of the tunnel, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "The hair's standing up on the back of my neck." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "We need to leave." And I asked why. And he said, "Because they told us to leave." And I said, no. Just because they tell you to leave doesn't mean you leave. And don't show any fear. So he stuck it out with me, and was so glad when we left the tunnel. And that's another place I want to go back.
We hit that, and then if you ever heard the Moonville Tunnel, it's right around the corner from it.
Don't look at my shirt. Don't look at my corn on cob drippings. It's not my fault.
Well, you and your corncob drippings just broadcast worldwide, so
No, I didn't. Can't nobody see me.
they all know the voice, though.
That's okay. Burn cob drippings is fine. They can't see it. Y'all can, and I'm sorry.
Burnt cow drippings or corncob drippings? What'd you say? Corncob drippings.
There
Okay.
you go.
Well, you know, I'm half blind, can't hear all together.
Huh?
Like I said, we've investigated Moonville Tunnel.
That was our very first
first
investigation.
one we ever did of it. And she has a picture on her camera of an image that's against the wall inside Moonville.
And it's a forearm from the elbow down. You can see the hand, the thumb, the fingers against the wall. I was just snapping pictures.
Like it was up against the wall this way, or like it was up against the
No,
wall? Oh,
just
so
like
it's
this. So it was palm up,
okay.
laying against the wall. And there have been, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Moonville is supposedly the haunted one.
It's, yeah.
Exactly, Tony. Mugu. You got it.
Yeah.
Burnt cow drippings.
It's
Oh my God, that burnt cow was good. That was the greatest offering to bass
None of that
ever.
got dripped. I promise you that. It was the corn.
She was licking that
The
steak.
cow did not get
I
dripped,
think all of us
especially
did.
with that.
I was down here
barbecue
trying to
sauce
lick
on
my
it.
elbow and stuff. It was so good.
Oh, shucks. And the closest investigation we did to our house is down at Evergreen Cemetery, just down the hill from us, and that was Charlie Rich, who dealt
Dead
man's hand to Wild Bill.
Really?
Yep,
Yeah, he's buried right down the hill from us.
right down the hill. In a family plot. The family, from the way I understand it, brought his remains back here because they're originally from Ohio,
Okay.
from our area, from out west when he died.
Wow.
So there's the big family plot there. It's a really cool thing to see.
My wife brought me some special gummy bears. Feeling no pain. There you go, girl.
See?
I think we all need some of those gummy bears from time to time. Here in Illinois, that might mean you can't give consent. Well, you know, Illinois is is a place all unto its own, right down to making our own laws and rules and regs at times. So, okay, you guys are from the Cincinnati area. What have you done across the river?
Never have gone across the river.
We haven't
You've
gone
never
across
gone
the
into
river yet.
Kentucky.
No, haven't gone
Not
into
yet.
Kentucky yet.
We've
We were-
had a chance to go to Waverly, but unfortunately, we were going to Tennessee and wouldn't be back in time to go. It was with his nephew,
We were supposed to go to She's supposed to go to Bobby Mackey's one night.
and that, yeah,
Yeah, we
It
were
was on
actually
a s-
talking last night about us getting together sometime, me and Steph and Ashlyn going down their way and going to do Bobby Mackey's together. And of course, Bobby Mackey's is one of those big famous places that, you know, ghost hunters and ghost adventures and a lot of independent and YouTube
and don't believe everything you see.
investigators. Yeah, a lot of people say, man, that place is so active you won't get a moment's break. Other people go in there and say, man, we didn't pick up a damn thing the whole time we were there.
Precisely.
So I think it's more the individual,
I agree.
what you're going to find when you get in there.
I agree.
I love the Ghost Adventures episode of Bobby Mackey's. That would be awesome if you guys
That
went.
was a really good one.
Just to get down their way, because I come to find out that, you know, with them living down in the southern Ohio area, not very far from Cincinnati, I've only been to two places in Cincinnati. Well, I've been to two places in Ohio, and one of them really don't count. One of them was the Serpent Mound in southern Ohio. The other one was Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is right on the Ohio River. You have to literally go up the road and cross the bridge from Ohio to West Virginia.
I went to Cedar Point.
Of course, where
I don't think that
the
counts for
Mothman
anything, but I did.
was supposedly seen at back in the late 60s when all those people died on the bridge when the bridge collapsed on Christmas Eve. And apparently there's a lot of people in that town that still believe it, especially the old timers, because when I went there, I walked into the grocery store. I asked the folks, hey, where was the bridge located at that collapsed with the whole Mothman incident? And some old man, he had to be probably in his late 60s, early 70s at that time. He's probably long gone by now. He just left his stuff right there on the checkout and left the store. And the girl at the checkout told me that his daughter was one of them that died on the bridge that night. And still to this day, they can't explain what caused the structural integrity of the bridge to fail and collapse like that. So besides the tunnels, what else have you done in your area?
We've done the cemetery in Camp Dennison, which the Waldschmidts are the original town people. They're the ones that developed the town of Camp Dennison.
Back in the early 1800s.
Yes.
He had like a sawmill, log mill. I think they even Milford got its name, which we're not too far from. That was my hometown. It got a name because there was had a big sawmill right in the middle of town,
Right?
and so Waldschmidt was a big name down there. Actually, they've got a pretty good sized crypt and all that down there.
They,
She did get a few hits off of that.
I did.
And then in the process, while we're into the cemetery, she's sitting there getting herself figured out, looking at things. And I kind of walk through and take a look at headstones. And here I find a distant relative, a baby from my mom's side of the family that goes way back in the early 1800s. That is buried down there. And I have no idea, unless he worked, the only thing I can think of, he worked for Walt Schmidt.
He wasn't a baby. He was a young man.
No, he was a baby when he died. It was a baby that was
Then
there.
his father is who worked for
Right,
Walt.
his father worked there. I think his father worked for Walt Schmidt because they hired a lot of the people around the local area to run there. He had like a copper mills, wood mills, paper mills, you name it, it was all right there in Miamiville at one time.
Very cool.
Before they came in, tore it all down, put up Camp Denison,
The town.
and the town and everything. The railroad runs right through town down there too. So
And when I was doing the spirit box, talking to Christian Smith, he was speaking to me in German. I could not understand a word he was saying, but he was just going to town. I just said I wanted to hear your story, and he just started going. It was unbelievable.
I think it was the old German too.
It was old German. At first I thought it was Native American, but it was German.
Oh, wow.
When I heard the dialect. Of course we haven't. I had someone come in and investigate my house because there's a lot of things that go on in that house. You hear footsteps. We hear the steps, people walking up and down the steps. I get whispers in my ear. I heard last week one night, I heard when I was in bed, I heard a voice say, "It's cold in here." And I went over to Jay and I said, "Did you just say something?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay, then it must have been my grandfather." So we have found out that my parents and my mom's parents are in the house. Their spirits are in the house. So that is something that I want to delve more into.
I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard the wives' tale before that yellow monarchs are the spirit of departed family members, especially when they're close by your home. And yesterday we were sitting out here, day before yesterday, Steph and I were sitting out here on the deck, and we had a yellow monarch right back here on the bush, sniffing the flowers. And then today we were all sitting out here, and there was a yellow monarch right up above the back door. Kept moving around the peak of the house. He'd go up in the trees and come back down. Must have circled over there for 5 or 10 minutes. And we feel like it's Steph's grandpa hanging around. We know that there's activity here in the house. We hear footsteps. Many times I've gone to the studio and things being moved in the morning, especially since I moved it and reorganized it the other day. Things are not where I hung all my hats on the one wall. The hat that I always wear, the big gray hat, wool hat, was laying in the chair, nice and flat like it's supposed to. Just really odd little things.
Have you tried speaking with him and
Oh, yeah.
using your voice recorder?
No, I've never used my voice recorder with Bob. Well, Bob didn't believe in the supernatural.
Yeah, but he might still talk to you that you could hear. There's a lot of people that don't believe in that until they actually.
The next time that I do a live overnight in the studio, I planned on being in there for part of it and actually trying to communicate and use some of the different devices and stuff.
Oh, that would be awesome.
There's
a lot.
Freedom popped in there.
Yep, I waved at her.
I saw her.
She was talking, Jen was talking, so I just kind of waved at her when she popped in. Old and tired, but good. Still kicking, better than stiff. I'll take that as a good sign. Ain't complaining. Oh yeah, I think Jay and I are
Yeah.
beyond well.
We're stuffed.
I couldn't get no more burnt cow parts in me if I tried, or baked taters. Them taters were huge. So, oh man, good eats. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ain't nothing like getting two people together that love to cook. Of course, Jan and I hung out outside and let Jay and my wife do the cooking. And I mean, so I microwaved the taters and got them cooked.
That was a big deal.
It is.
That was,
Especially because that first bag of taters wound up taking me like 13 minutes. Normally only takes 9 minutes to cook 3 big potatoes in a
yeah, but
in a
those were
Ziploc
huge.
bag.
They were huge.
Oh.
There's
So,
some,
what's the weirdest thing that you've ever ran across in an investigation? I mean, you keep telling me Jay startles easy, and I've never seen the camera just kind of run through the cemetery and leaving you like.
yeah, yeah. He's just, he turns it off when he tells me things like that, so people can't actually hear his reactions. And I'm just hoping that he doesn't keep doing that.
Leave it out for the rackety coons. They'll drag it.
They'll enjoy it, but
Geronimo!
Me.
um, now
If you guys could only see the 13-year-old over here bouncing on top of the trash can right now to stuff the bags down.
barefooted,
Barefooted. You can tell the little Potawatomi girl, she don't care what she gets on her feet. She'll go in there and wipe them off and crawling back.
Yep.
Mashed potatoes between her toes, macaroni stuck to a toenail. She don't care.
Oh my gosh.
She said though she won't eat bacon.
She won't eat pork.
Yeah, she
No,
won't eat pork.
She don't eat sausage. She don't eat bacon.
She's
See,
pork tolerant.
only downside to that girl. Other than that, we love her like she's our own. But yeah, not eating bacon is like a definite mood killer in this house. Not that I actually get bacon that much.
Yeah, Ashley was in there pouring bacon on and the cheese, and she's like, I can't touch that.
God love her. God love her. What a sweetheart.
Oh, I love a good baked potato. Oh, so do I. So do I. And our little farmer's market we got out on the east edge of town called Dussel's, they have got a great variety of fresh vegetables. They got a great variety of frozen meats and stuff. It all comes in there. They wrap it and stick it in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, you know, since it's right there by Camp Ritchie Folk, Diamond Lake, of course, you know, they have shrimp and expensive fish and scallions and like $16 frozen
Mussels.
pies.
Yeah.
There, it's down past the flagpole. I can take this back off again.
Awesome.
We were sitting there too. We saw they had city chickens in there.
You saw they had city
Not
Jay
to be
knows.
confused with shitty chicken,
Right, exactly. Exactly.
for those of you that watch South Park.
Yeah.
And shitty beef.
Shitty beef.
Welcome to Shitty Walk.
Yeah. But you had asked about our most
Freaky, weird shit you ran across that in an investigation.
I can't.
the barn.
The barn.
The barn. When we went to investigate,
Oh yeah, when you.
2 days before we did the investigation, was when we were packing things up, getting ready to move horses out from the barn we had been at for 6 years to a new place. And I am in feeding horses on the one side of the older barn, and I turn and look in this one horse's stall, which has the iron rods in it, and I see, you know, a 6 foot something shadow figure. And I just stood there and stared, because I have never seen anything around that place before. And I said something to my friend's mom, who I was helping in the barn. I said, "Have you ever seen a shadow figure in the stall?" And she said, "No, but I've seen one back in the feed room." And I said, "Was it like 6 foot something?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "I think it's Doc." And I said, "Oh, I know it's Doc," who he and his wife owned it, and he had passed away a couple years prior. There on the farm, he passed away. And I said, "Oh, I've got to get in here and do something and see what I, and she says, yeah, bring your equipment in and do an investigation and see what you find out. So I did. And Jay and I did it one night, the night before they left.
Well, the night they were leaving, wasn't it? They were all gone.
Oh, they were gone. So it was the day that they left that we went in there that night and did this. And
Because her mom, Sherry, didn't she say you had a bale of straw or hay come down on top of her?
yes, yes. She was walking into the doorway to go to the other side of the barn, and this whole stack of hay bales, for no apparent reason, came tumbling down, just missing her.
Wow.
And it was right before I got there in the morning, and I walked in and I'm like, oh my God, Sherry, what happened? She told me, and I said, I said, Doc is upset that we're leaving. I did a spirit box, heard his voice come through. That was chilling to me. And actually, Ashley's, one of her best friends, who was her maid of honor at her wedding, was there with me when I did the spirit box. And I asked him what he thought of all of the horses moving out, and there wouldn't be horses there anymore. And he said, I don't like it. That's the response I got. That was when I was there during the day. And I said, well, you know who is causing this to happen? And he said, yes. So when Jay and I went back to investigate the barns, then I told him, I said, you know the family member that you need to taunt about what happened?
You know the family member you need to taunt?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. You're not a shit stirrer, are you?
Hey, I knew what was going on.
The shoe fits.
I knew who the problem person was, and you know, I said, you can go haunt him anytime you want. He lives right across the field. So,
Never been back either since then.
We have not been back. His wife wants us to come because they have an old farmer. And she said overalls and a plaid shirt that walks through the house. Somebody that apparently lived there before they got the property, back in the 1800s. And she said, I want you to come and find out who this is. I'm like, okay. So the session at the barn was probably the one that made me stand up and take notice more so than any of the other ones that I did. Yeah.
How about you?
I'm still learning on this one, but I mean, we've got a couple things we're going to do probably when we get back. I've got like I said, I do deliveries all day, and I've got a couple people out in Leesburg and Greenfield. I need to stop to one lady. She's been with us to come out for what, like 2 or 3 years now.
You're the one that's dropping the ball.
I
on
know.
that.
I need to go talk to her, but she.
Not my problem.
She has this feeling she feels and talks to people, and spirits, and so we want to go out and talk to her one day. There's a car dealer out there. The guy, kind of independent little guy, sells cars. We were talking Friday before I left on vacation, and he says, I got a friend that's in Wilmington, and he has this house that when he bought the house, they undersold the house by $9,000 because the people that owned the house wanted to get rid of it because it's haunted. Because he said they would go in and set the ketchup down on the counter. All of a sudden, the ketchup would just start bouncing for no reason. Or if you went upstairs, the floors would start waving. I'm like, this ought to be interesting. But come to find out, also, while I was talking to him about this, he said evidently the house, they realized that they found a passageway that goes downstairs, and here the house was probably on the Underground Railroad at one time or another. So I want to get back
So
with
can
it.
you imagine the activity from the Underground Railroad era
That could be.
in that house?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
I want to get with them. I want to try to get this set up when I get back.
And
see.
his old house, you said something about it. That man said
Yeah, he
was
said he used to live in a house haunted. One day he was sitting there trying to iron a shirt. It was all wrinkled. He couldn't get the wrinkles to come out. He looked up in the doorway, and there was a lady in a yellow dress standing there. She smiled at him, and he's like, "Oh, how are you?" She didn't answer him. She just smiled at him. The next thing he looked down, and all the wrinkles were gone in his shirt. I said, "That's kind of spooky."
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
but that's
didn't
She
he
needs to
say
come over and
said
iron
that
my
she
shirt.
was transparent?
yeah, she was transparent too.
Yeah.
That's kind of like,
Yeah.
So, like
I'm,
I said,
I'm
I
itching
kind
to
of
do those.
I kind of got to go see what we get into. And,
So, what about locations you've been at? Let me respond to what Freedom said a second ago, and I want to
okay.
touch more on that. It's funny that you mentioned that, Freedom, because that's how my mom found out that her dad died. We were at my uncle's in Anderson, South Carolina, and we 2 o'clock in the morning, I think Mom said that she got woke up and she was laying on her side facing the alarm clock, and it was 2 o'clock dead on. And she looked over her left shoulder, and my grandfather was standing there. And she said something to him about, Daddy, what's wrong? And he said, shh, I won't be there when you get home, but everything will be okay. And I guess he reached down and he touched her leg, and she went back to sleep and woke up the next morning and called her mom, and she had woke up right about 3 o'clock, and he was dead in the bed beside her. So, old Navy vet, but he survived 7 heart attacks.
Oh my God.
He had the last one that took him happened in his sleep. He didn't even feel it. So,
Hard on the family,
Well, we
but the
had-
best way for the person.
yeah, best.
We had another freaky accident too. When Jan's dad passed away, it was one of those days that was just like coincidences. I was running a route around the house, and I wasn't even supposed to be on the route. I was supposed to be somewhere else. They threw me on this route. And I had come down, went down to Miamiville, made a delivery, come back up the hill. I looked up down the street. I was like, what the hell's all the fire trucks around the house? So I quickly turned around, pulled back in, and like, okay. Jan says, Dad's gone. He fell on the fireplace and hit his head, and he never come. And of course, he had
a seizure. He had a mall seizure.
He had a mall seizure.
That's what he passed.
Wow.
And he had to do not resuscitate. So
Except I couldn't find it, and that's why I had to call 911.
So that, and they had fire trucks all sitting there, squads there. I said, okay. So I went down, called Dad. She calls school.
Gets Ashley to come home. Ashley got mad that I took her out of school because she said, I have a math test coming up and I need to be there to take it. And I said, but I thought you'd want to see Papa once before the funeral.
So as soon as that happened, about 11 o'clock, she went back to school. And by that time, I had gotten somebody to come in to fill for me on the rest of my route. So we went down to funeral home, made the arrangements, come back that night, about 6 o'clock. And we went out and talked to our neighbors, Stu and Claire. And Stu says, when my dad passed away, I had this big clock, naval clock at home. And it chimed at whatever time it was that he had passed away.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. It chimed and chimed. I was like, okay.
And then it stopped.
Right.
And then the clock stopped.
Wow.
So then we walked back into our house. We looked at grandfather clock there. It was like about a little after 7, and then it stopped. And I was like,
Well, and Stu said he felt that when his clock stopped was when his dad saw his mom in heaven for the first time. And so we started thinking that that might have been with our clock when my dad saw my mom in heaven for the first time.
I'm sure that was a while.
But I've had spirits visit me since I was 4 years old.
Right.
And some of them I have no idea who
Because
they
you said
were.
you had somebody come to your bed or something.
The bottom of the steps at our old house in Madeira. I don't know what woke me up. Something woke me up, and I went to the top of the steps, and I looked down, and there was this woman, almost like you see an angel on a TV show, in kind of a white mist and flowing robes. I mean, there was no air moving in the house, but her gown was just flowing. And I started calling my mom for my mom. My mom never heard me.
Did JJ say Medill? M-A-D-I-L, Medill?
No, Madeira.
Madeira. And that was my first encounter with a spirit.
Wow.
My grandmother came to me right after she passed away to my bedroom. I was so angry that God took my grandmother away from me because we were very close. And I kept saying, I'm so mad at you, God. I hate you. I don't know why you took her. And she came to my bedside and said, don't be mad at God, child. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I will always watch over you.
Wow.
So we've been on the edge of this for a long, long time.
And we've been to Dayton, Ohio, to a cemetery up there. Spoke to Irma Bombeck. I don't know if anybody is old enough to remember Irma Bombeck with her newspaper articles and what in all the major publications. Got to talk to her. Spoke to the Wright brothers and their sister, who is also buried in that cemetery. King and Queen of the Gypsies are buried in that cemetery. And the story is told that when the last one, or when each one of them passed away and were interred, there were caravans that came from all over the country.
Really?
And came. And we're talking, horse and wagon caravans.
One of these days, I'd like to go down to Spring Grove too, and go through down Spring Grove Cemetery down Cincinnati.
Yes, there are so many prominent graves there.
It started in the late 1840s as a, I want to say a cholera epidemic type cemetery. But there's a lot of Civil War generals buried in there. My grandparents are buried up on the back hill. And
great-grandparents?
And my great-grandparents are there. And right around the corner from where they're buried is another gypsy area. They show up every Memorial Day.
Oh, my God.
And you would not believe the size of these flower arrangements.
And the shapes.
We're talking
and the shapes.
$300, $400, $500 arrangements.
In the shape of the state of Florida, there was one with that, and a dolphin. And I mean, many shapes of apparently where these people come from to pay their respects, but it is up to the florist to remove all of those the next day. Like after Memorial Day or what have you, the next day the florist has to go out and remove the flowers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, getting back to the original question, what investigation? You guys have to understand, you never see Jay in the videos.
I'm always
Jay
the guy
is
behind
always,
the camera.
yeah, he's always the guy behind the camera. And that's why, I'm going to ask the same question to him. What investigation have you gone on with her that just completely freaked you out? I mean, the one you had to stop filming, shake your head, take a few deep breaths, walk back to the
It
car.
still had to be the King's Tunnel, because that one just, for some reason, this is a long railroad tunnel, and it was wet in there. It really hadn't rained. Like I said, the thunder one, it's really when the thunder cracked for no reason. That's like, whoa.
Now, what's the history of King's Tunnel?
It's just a long.
It was part of the railway.
It's part of the railway system out there in Kings. They were
in Denton County.
Denton County. They were making coke, coke wood, and that's how they were hauling it out through the mountains or out of the hills.
Okay.
And these are the old abandoned lines. There's actually, is it like an arsenal? There's something right down below there. I can't think what it is.
I think you're right. I think it was an arsenal.
There's like an arsenal or something down below this area where it is. But it's like one of the big spurs out there. They just run up down through the hills out there. The furnace out there is a coke furnace. The remains of it. And she actually said she had gone to the bathroom and something attacked her coming out of the bathroom that day. And that's why that's the first place we ever did a actual video, was at the coke furnace.
Oh, wow.
And we should get some nods off of that.
We did the
one, like I said, that's really the only one that's really freaked me out, was that one there.
Yeah.
The rest of them I kind of like, okay.
Well, the town that flooded, remember, out. Remember we went to that old barn? There was an old barn there and a small cemetery or something right there. And the lower part of that, there was a flood, and most of the settlers that were in that area drowned.
Yeah,
Drowned. And when I did the spirit box, we'd hear the voices, and they sounded like they were underwater.
Wow.
So, let me figure out which one that was.
I can't think what that one is. It's out in that same general area, but I can't.
Utopia.
Oh, down on...
The town of Utopia, down along the river.
Down on the Ohio River. That was... Yeah.
All right.
That was an interesting
We went to a little small cemetery, and it's kind of... Because Utopia, if you look up Utopia, Ohio, it's a very small place, but it's like, there again, started the abolitionists. They had major floods come through, even the flood of 37, put the whole town underwater. But they had people that were in a building. This is back in like 1850s, 1800s. And I believe flood came in and they couldn't get out fast enough, and it washed them all away.
Washed
families away.
Families, including young children.
Wow. So we'll go on the total flip side of the coin.
Okay.
What investigations have you been on that just nothing? You didn't get a squeak, a peep, a cracking stick, nothing.
There was one that I never put up. Our daughter and son-in-law were with us. We had gone up to Annie Oakley's grave site, but then we went to where the soldiers were all buried.
Yeah, I can't.
And I can't think of the name of the place, but there was a it's huge area, and there was fighting that went on in
There
that
was
area.
there was a battle there. It was
Yes.
like there was like 17 soldiers killed.
And I could not get a single response out of anyone in that cemetery. Nobody. So I never posted it.
Well, there were a couple of times I had to raise grandkids one time ago while the daughter was deployed. No, Utopia is what they just mentioned, Freedom, where the place that I've never used the Ouija board. That's Tommy's thing. I won't use a Ouija board. I don't mind using a homemade spirit board
Mm-hmm.
because you've made it yourself. You know your intent when you make it. You know where your mind's at when you make it. But a Ouija board, a manufactured piece, you don't know. You know, I don't mind using a crystal to guide me on a pendulum on a homemade spirit board, but yeah, I will
Right.
not use a Ouija board.
No, me either.
A spirit board honestly cannot be used as a portal
Correct.
where a Ouija board can. So don't blame you, Jim. Me either. Feels like inviting trouble. Exactly. When you're using an object that's made to open a communication pathway, and you don't know the person that made it, you don't know if they had ill intent, you don't know if they just wanted to see people get hurt, if they wanted to, whatever the case may be, you just don't know. And that's why I won't use other people's stuff like that. I'm using the Ouija board for what Tony said he used it for. I'm sure he closed that deal very well. Use a Ouija board to get a woman. Talk
Well, there's a first.
Talk about raising hell.
Yeah.
So, where are some places then that you would like to go? I know we talked about going to Bobby Mackey sometime, which I would love to do just to check it out.
I'd like to go to Waverly Hills, down around Louisville, Kentucky.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yes. I would also like to go to the Indiana Sanatorium.
Well, there's Mansfield
Mansfield,
has something.
yes. Mansfield has it.
We need to get together here with my cousin too, my nephew, because he does a lot of different things too.
But he doesn't get a whole lot though.
course I-
And he doesn't have the equipment that we have. He
Right.
doesn't have much at all. But yeah, there's a number of places in that's probably within a 3 or 4 hour drive of us that we could go to that has a lot of history to it. So aside from being haunted, because I'd like to learn the history of some of those places too. What
Someplace we
actually
need
happened.
to find out around too is up around Dayton. It's called Old Chillicothe,
Old Chillicothe?
where Tecumseh, and they're actually the center of their area
Mm-hmm.
up there, just east of Dayton, up there south of the Air Force Museum or Air Force Base.
Oh,
Kind of
wow.
need to go up there and do some more exploring again.
I did, but we did not film it. I did a spirit box at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Museum with, what did they call it? The what witch? I want to say ditch witch, but it was a water plane. You remember?
Yeah.
And because
Talking
there's
about the Sea Witch?
Because Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the Air Museum, there is hauntings in that.
Yeah.
there's supposedly
There's supposed to be
two aircraft
There's
that are
a
haunted.
helicopter in there supposed to be haunted.
and then that water plane.
I can't think what it is.
I can't think of it. But I did get some hits on my EMF off of that plane.
Really?
Yeah. So I would like to get permission to go up in there and do more of an investigation. I just need to talk to a few people. But yeah, that place is haunted for sure.
Who was it that said? Oh, Joe. I would love to go to the Winchester Mansion in California. You know, we just recently done the Winchester Mansion in Elkhart, Indiana. It was a very, very active location. But the story of Sarah Winchester building that place, adding to it, supposedly the spirits came to her and gave her the plans of how they wanted things done, and then she would give that message to the architects, and they would draw up the plans, and they would start building. I would love to check that place out. I think it would be really amazing. Crownsville Sanatorium for Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
My goodness.
definitely so. Definitely so, because there were stories that when he was locked up in Brownsville, that he believed the spirits of some of his victims haunted him. So who knows if they remain behind or not. Previous comment, no, the kids, all those probably
There's a
good
lot
too.
of places in Indiana I'd
Seems like
to
such
visit.
fascinating place to see in person. That'd be awesome too. I'm glad it didn't sire any kids that way. What happened to Winchester? She finally died of old age there in the mansion. She was talking to one of her servants one evening, and the next day they went in there to get her woke up to start her daily normal activities, and she was gone. They can't explain it. She just died peacefully. So, but the whole story with her was supposedly she was the family was supposed to be cursed by all of the victims whose lives were taken by weapons from the Winchester Arms Company, and supposedly she was building this mansion for them. So, you know, what the truth is, what the real story is, nobody really knows, because all they know is the stories that she told folks. What about you? Is there any places in particular that you would like to check out that wouldn't, I mean, just places that really strike your interest?
Well, like I said, I love to go down to Ripley sometime, up to down to Ripley, Ohio. There's a lot of abolitionist stuff down through there. I can't even think of the house up on top of the hill. The Rankin House.
The Rankin House.
The Rankin House. I think that would be interesting because, like I said, it's on the hill looking down the valley.
That's where they
And
ran the Underground Railroad through.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a behind the camera guy. I really don't know. I just kind of go with what she wants to do and see. And like I said, I'm out in the country all day, and I kind of just, keep an eye looking. Hey, this looks like could be an interesting cemetery, or this could look like an interesting place.
Mm-hmm.
I found another place out beyond me, out there in South Salem, Ohio. It's an old seminary. There's an old cemetery right behind it, so there might be something tied in with the cemetery. I don't know.
Wow. Actually, Tony, it was her husband the heir to the Winchester Arms Company, who supposedly had a supernatural contact at one time. And he is the one who supposedly had the connection or the contact from a spirit that told him that his family would forever be cursed by the lives taken by the guns they produced. And you are right, it is mostly the bullet that does it. But and yes, freedom, she did. She built staircases that went up to the ceiling. There are doors that opened up to brick walls. There are doors that open up right outside, and if you step through, you fall 2-3 stories to the ground. There's all kinds of things about that house. All kinds of stories about why these things were built this way. This is what the spirits wanted. This is the design that they instructed be done. There are rooms in the house you can't get into. When they were built, they were completely sealed off. There's no doors to get into them. Now, whether there's secret passageways into them or what, nobody remembers. But yes, there are doors that lead to nowhere. There are staircases that lead flat up against a wall or flat up against a ceiling. And she continuously built or continuously had plans drawn up to build till the day she died. She was terrified and kept building so they wouldn't take her or something along those lines. Yeah, I believe that's right. No, I don't remember what I was going to ask. Dad, burn it.
Yeah. We've got short-term memory.
Now what about the Indiana locations? You said there were places in Indiana that you wanted to check out.
I have been told by some people, I don't know how credible they are. There's a bridge
Hey, Templar.
in Indiana that is supposedly haunted, and it's, I think, outside of Batesville, somewhere around there. But again, I would like to investigate the Indiana sanatorium.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, I hate to put it this way, but I want to see if videos that I've seen big time investigators do there are real. I want to see if what they claim they felt, you can really feel there. So, just with my sensitivity and my gifts that I am working on to bring out, I just want to know, if there really are spirits there that remain because they passed there, or they passed away, were buried, and they came back. So,
Well, I know there's there's a couple places down by Cookie, which he don't live very far from Logansport,
okay.
where Purdue University's at. And I know there's a place down there called Sleepy Hollow Bridge. Supposedly a very, very active, Sleepy Hollow Road, I'm sorry.
Sleepy Hollow Road, yes.
Not very far from Sleepy Hollow Road is a cemetery that's Mark has researched. And it is such a legendary haunted cemetery that Mark wants to even go down and check it out.
Okay.
And to make that almost 3-hour drive one way for Mark
That's something.
it's got to be something, because he don't like driving long distances one direction.
Yeah, I understand.
Dead soldier. Almost time to go out there and go in there and pull out the apple shine.
Go for it.
A mystery that never ends.
I think there are spirits around us all the time, no matter where we are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the point of
Trying to pull them out.
them letting you know that they're there. If you can feel them or notice them. Um, up until a few months ago, I never heard a spirit talk to me. And I've had that happen numerous times.
Hmm.
Where they whisper in my ear or what have you. And it's amazing to have that type of a gift.
Yeah. Me
or
too, Joe.
a sensitivity to be able to relate to them in some form.
What got you interested in the paranormal? What first set Jan off when it comes to the paranormal?
Watching Holly's lore.
Holly's
Holly,
lore.
Holly and Eric Fogel. She has a YouTube channel, Holly's Lore. Um, she is like you, now I've got to meet you, but she is a YouTube friend. She also helped me choose the name for the channel. I've gotten a lot of great conversation with her, but watching what they've done, and I've got the same equipment they have. And she said, I hear something. Eric has something messing with him all the time. Their house is haunted. Their property is haunted. And whenever they've done investigations on their property, Eric he can be sweeter than pie 1 minute, and the next minute he's like, I'm done. I can't, we gotta go. I can't. There is something not right here, and I think we're gonna be in danger if we go any further. He's gotten to that extreme before. And I really enjoy watching their content because they're just like us. They do a little bit of editing so that it isn't, 5 hours long, what
Yeah.
have you. But they they truly feel the emotion of communicating and being with the spirits. I got wrapped up in her videos, and I watch every one she puts out. And I always comment, but she's actually the one that got me started. And I said, how do you get Eric to go with you to do these things? And I said, because I don't know if Jay would be interested in going with me or not. And I said to him, you know, hey, how about we go and do a cemetery? Go and I have an EMF meter. Let's see if it lights up. Let's, whatever. And he thought it was really cool. I thought he was just going to be kind of standoffish about it. But, yeah, so she's really the one that got me interested in the paranormal.
Oh,
Yeah, there's another place that we want to check out too. We've talked to a place. We have a restaurant down below. It's called Schoolhouse Restaurant.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's
yes.
it's a two-story. It's in Camp Dennison also. It's a two-story house, and they have had investigations in there, and they have talked to people. And
They have pictures
actually,
of entities that were caught on camera.
and they have
Wow.
somebody did a questionnaire, and he let us. Last time we were down here about a month ago.
They're friends. Their family is friends of my mom's family,
And
so that's how we
he
know.
let us read the report on it, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
They knew who he was. The entities knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
and the family and all that. And they were actually students in the school or something, I think. So he said, "Hey, you want to come down sometime? You know, and I'll let you guys in and do an investigation."
Yeah.
And we made there's a friend of hers that's a medium. I don't know. Did she feel anything that
Oh,
night?
yes, she did. Off of the flag in the corner, she said, "There's energy," because that's the original flag from, what was it? Is it 1893 or 1895? Is when they started the schoolhouse.
Something like that.
They had the schoolhouse, and it was used as a schoolhouse until 1960. And his parents bought it in 1968. Took a year to set it up as a restaurant, and opened in 1969 as a restaurant. Best home cooking you'd ever want to eat.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
Ready to bounce you off again?
No.
Oh.
He's searching.
Searching. So,
Did I say something that wasn't allowed?
No.
Okay.
I mean, that's another one we wanted to do an investigation on. And
Well, you're going to have to be off one day during the week because we can't go when they're open for business. Chris said he would come over and open the doors for us and let us have it for as long as we wanted.
we got vacation coming up the end of October, so we can look at it there. Oh, God.
So, yeah. There's many places too numerous to name, and I left all the books at home, of course.
Go figure.
Of all of there's books on haunted places in Ohio, in the tri-state, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. So, I don't think too far from KG. There's places down there that are haunted that would be a great trip.
Wow.
You know where I really would absolutely love to go?
Well,
Loretta Lynn's house. It is hard as all get out.
I've heard
Because of
that
the
too.
soldiers. Yeah.
I've heard that too.
I would love.
You're talking about the old
Yes.
house out in the woods.
The old plantation house.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Joe, I absolutely positively agree. I would love to go to Salem, Massachusetts sometime. Execution Hill would be the perfect place to do an investigation. But yeah, most definitely the witch hunt. I did a video here a few months on the Salem witch trials, and the fact that the women that they went after were either not soft-spoken women, they stood up for themselves, or they were property owners who were widowed, or in one case, it was a woman that was a member of the church that the girls who were making all the accusations just didn't like. And that's why a lot of people now feel like the witch hunts were a farce. It was a group of young girls who figured, okay, either I can go out and I can do the everyday chores that everybody else has to do, or I can be treated like gold and lay in bed and make these accusations, and the minister pats me on my head, or my father pats me on the head, or the governor pats me on the head, or whatever the case may be. But, you know, everybody was fully behind this hunt, including the governor, until those girls accuse the governor's wife. Then it's like, okay, witch hunt's over. And you know, right down to the point where the couple that were members of the church, they hung the wife, and her husband was the man who they tortured by putting him down and putting a large board on him and piling stones on top of the board to make him confess, until they just finally crushed him to death. He would not confess to something that he was not guilty of. So, there are witches in Salem. Who knows? I mean, who really knows? But if you sit and look at our history and the history of accusations and things like that, if you believe every one of them, then our colonial ancestors that came here actually did see werewolves in the woods. Their cemeteries were plagued by the undead. Witches really existed. So, I mean, a lot of those old stories, those old wives' tales that came over from Europe have to be taken with a grain of salt. You know, if these things truly existed back then and made themselves publicly known, then why aren't they making themselves publicly known still today? The acceptance of evidence that only the accusers could see. Exactly. Exactly. I'm sure there's a hint of truth to everything. Oh, I'm sure. I am sure there is a hint of truth. Well, you know, and they say that behind every great story is a shred of truth. So, hey, Candy. Good to see you, dear.
Hi, Candy.
Many houses closed. Connecticut River, only a woman can buy, because back in the day, many women were married to men that were at sea for years, and they knew if they died, their wives would lose the houses. Yep, most definitely. That's ugly, Terry. It's very true, though. Very true. I'm doing good. Hope everyone else is doing well. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I think we're going to be ending this here in just a few minutes. We've got a big day tomorrow. I've got to get the mobile studio moved back into the house, put back in the bags and stuff so we can transport everything. There will be a live stream tomorrow for all of Ghostorama. I will have the mobile studio there set up. We will be live streaming. We will not be talking as much on here. It's going to be more for your viewing pleasure, seeing everything firsthand. But, you know, all of us will be there. You'll hear us talking. You'll hear the questions from people. You'll hear us interacting. Heather and her husband Chris will be there also in our area. So, like I said, you'll be seeing everything firsthand as we see it. As a matter of fact, I will actually probably have the camera turned around, facing the crowd and stuff. So, but let me see here real quick. It'll be great. Can't wait. That was passed down for hundreds of years. The deeds of the houses. Might pop in and out. Drop some love. Cool. It's going to be 6 hours, so I get that's a lot of in and out time. Depends on the weather. If it ain't raining, I intend to go hunting. Don't blame me. Don't blame me. If I had a gun, I'd go hunting too. Well, if I didn't have this thing going on. And then, of course, next week I will be hanging out with our local Great Lake Pilot group at the Michiana Ren Fair in South Bend, Indiana at the St. Joe County Fairgrounds. I cannot for the love of God figure out why my throat feels like I got a pine cone shoved in it.
Ragweed.
Rag what?
Ragweed.
That season.
It's ragweed season.
I've
Oh, Lord.
not had a rag or a weed yet today.
Okay.
Except the one I wiped that barbecue sauce off my goatee with earlier. Tree rat season. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, tree rat disappeared here.
Yeah, well, you know, he showed his nuts off earlier and finally decided to go away, so.
Yeah. He's trying to hit somebody.
Yeah, he's
earlier.
dropping nuts earlier. That's why I got the overhang on the jailhouse, so when I'm sitting up underneath it, he can't peg me with stuff.
Sure.
Okay, children would probably be on a snake at the cabins. By far. But, alright guys, we are gonna be like fat babies and head out, be like trees and leave, be like squirrels and take our nuts and leave. So, you guys all have a good day, a good rest of your Friday evening. Don't forget, get on in and check us out tomorrow from 1 to 7 when we're going to be streaming live from Ghosterama. Of course, come first of the week, there will be a video of all the highlights from Ghosterama and everything. I'm glad you guys made it up. It's going to make it even more interesting having you all there with me.
I'm glad we were able to come up and finally meet the man I've been watching forever.
Ain't no different.
My
just
hero.
more contoured than you see on here.
You look thinner in person than you do on there.
You guys
you are
heard
thin.
it. You guys heard it. I'm thinner in person.
This man is, there's no weight on this man. Just saying.
Only 224 pounds.
Yeah.
But look at your frame.
Rusty and corroded.
Okay.
We're out of here, guys. Y'all have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow at Ghosterama. But for tonight, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. I do. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Have a good evening, y'all.